Milan Fashion Week is here and a lot is happening, so let's talk about the most interesting shows. Hello everyone, this is Vision and Passion and I am the celebrator of creativity, and today we are covering and reviewing the most interesting looks in Milan Fashion Week. This is part 1, so let's start with the elephant in the room, Demna's debut for Gucci. Gucci, everyone was waiting for this moment. Look, I wouldn't call Demna a fashion legend. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I have to admit, he's clever and talented. He knows how to create momentum, build hype, and tell a story in a way that keeps people interested and hooked. He thinks outside the box, and that's a good sign because it almost always pays off. Obviously, Gucci was tasked with toning things down a bit, becoming more commercial, less over the top, and less extra or oversaturated. We could see that coming from the parent company's decisions over the past couple of years. I think Demna followed those rules, but still managed to shake things up and create excitement without reinventing the wheel. He just reframed Gucci's codes and presented them in a way that felt fresh and intentional. This debut collection is simple yet effective. The very first image was of the iconic Gucci trunk, a respectful nod to the brand's history. Gucci was founded in 1921 as a luggage and leather goods shop in Florence, so that was a nice way to start his journey with the brand and also immediately drawing our attention to the GG monogram. Of course, he used the monogram across so many different pieces. For example, we see it in these full head-to-toe looks called La VIP and La VIC, referring to very important clients, sending a very clear message that the GG monogram is still the symbol of status. I love how he styled the models in mixed fabrics, cotton, silk, leather, and more, but kept that single monogram unifying them, making the looks feel cohesive, strong, and powerful. Now, let's talk about the fur looks. We know Gucci has been fur-free since 2018, so I'm sure this is faux fur, but wow, it looks great and super realistic. The styling is on point with all the right accessories, and while this one feels a bit classic, we have those two looks that are way more dramatic. Even they admit it by calling them La Bomba and La Bomba 2. Honestly, these are very well designed outwear pieces. The shape, the texture, the personality, they tell you exactly who the character is without saying a word. But if you think you are way more than La Bomba, maybe you are La Diva. Do you agree with me? Let me know which one is you. Look, these aren't the pieces that the brand will rely on to bring in the big revenue, but they are the pieces that the brand will rely on to create buzz, spark discussion, and drive attention to the more commercial products that will actually make the brand money. Gucci may not use real fur anymore, but they definitely work with exotic skins. These looks might represent that. Most likely, this one is a total look made of alligator skin, and the other probably lizard. What I like about this collection overall is that each look has just one concept, which is a combination of one shape or texture or one print paired with a single design idea, covering everything the brand offers with a clean and focused intention. For example, this double-breasted light blue shearling coat, they chose one material and one strong design choice, which is the exaggerated rounded shoulders. By combining them, they created a recognizable silhouette. So now, if you see this coat on anyone, you will immediately recognize or remember that it is Gucci. Or take the stretchy velvet floor-length column gown with that structured sculptural neckline. Simple but effective, simple but impactful. Same thing with the fully embroidered gold gown, same fabric all over, just one design tweak. Bell sleeves, done. You could literally buy similar fabric and make this for yourself. No need to spend somewhere from 40 to 60 grand to wear this design. What I want to say by this is there is no crazy innovation or groundbreaking new technique they came up with that no one could figure out. But what actually made it stand out was the clever approach to the presentation. First of all, the surprise element of releasing it earlier than scheduled, avoiding the runway show. It was a lookbook shot by fine art photographer Catherine Opie. Each look framed like a portrait and titled, representing different characters that embody the Gucci-ness of Gucci. Again, not a genius idea, but definitely something unexpected. It is the surprise element that catches your attention and creates the hype. The menswear also had personality. There is literally a look called Figo, which Google tells me means a guy who is cool, sexy, and trendy. Anyway, now which one was my favorite look from the entire collection? Look, I will pick both La Flora and La Contessa. I love the reference to those iconic floral prints. And again, each dress is designed with one strong idea and nothing more. They are statement pieces that will absolutely end up on red carpets, photo shoots, and magazines, keeping Gucci at the center of discussion. That's great marketing. And what we learned from this industry is that for the big houses, clever marketing matters more than a redundancy of interesting design. That's why Kering moved Demna to Gucci, because they know very well his potential when it comes to that. At the end of the day, this debut did exactly what it needed to do. It started the conversation. It got people excited to see more Gucci, and I'm sure that will be reflected in revenue. I think this is just the warm-up. I can't wait to see Demna's Gucci show in February. And by then, I believe we are going to see even more creativity. Next, I want to talk about Alberta Ferretti by Lorenzo Serafini. This collection made me so happy, the complete opposite of his debut Fall 2025 collection. The Resort 2026 collection also felt flat. However, this show was excellent and was exactly what I was anticipating. Let's start with the opening look. It immediately set the tone for a sensual and sophisticated collection. The backless vest was already a sign that the rest of the collection would stay at the same level of luxurious effortlessness. And then, boom, the second look, cascading flowers as a skirt under a plain poncho. I was like, okay, something is happening. Then came the crochet pants and the crochet skirt with flower fringes, paired with a boucle structured top. I was like, wow, the play of textures and nuances, all kept within that off-white monotone palette, is brilliant. Then I noticed this minimalistic dress that looked almost like a floor-length, lightweight, deep V-neck sweater with slits on the arms. But the showstopper moment was the coral pink dress with draped cape detailing integrated beautifully into the main construction of the dress. More pleated and draped dresses followed, including this striking black one, cleverly gathered on one shoulder, one layer tucked under the arm, another draped over it, covering the arm and the shoulder in a flattering way. Another design felt a little overworked, but you could still see the good intention behind it. The kaftan-inspired relaxed dresses reminded you that you actually can still be stylish while prioritizing comfort at home, relaxing in your backyard, or on your balcony terrace. The chiffon pieces were a perfect example of minimalistic design done right, showing how quietly powerful and elegant simplicity can be, whispering elegance instead of shouting it. By this point, you were already confused about which look you would pick for your next vacation. Then you see the scarf top option and think, this is exactly how someone can be intelligent, refined, quiet, and sexy at the same time. Then the tailoring looks kicked in, and you start asking yourself, did they just make minimalistic tailoring fun, interesting, and even flirty? The metallic, shiny skirts instantly caught my eye, paired with beautiful silk tops, most likely constructed from rectangular shapes, folded and layered to create mini cape-like details. The mini dress version in yellow was also a strong statement. It almost felt as soft as a dream of an innocent princess. Then came the draped, cascading cape-style dresses in 3 layers. The top layer in pastel statement color, while the lower 2 layers were soft, pale nudes. Next was the asymmetrical draped version, hanging from a single shoulder with a metallic golden strap. Its sister design followed, this time with a halter neck in black and gold, featuring a single layer of long draped chiffon flowing to the floor. The airy flow and movement of this collection was magical. Finally, the closing look, the most refined of them all. Anyway, all those looks felt soft, ethereal, and full of goddess energy. I'm so happy that just 6 months after his first show, Lorenzo proved he will protect the heritage of this brand. And not only that, he's going to add plenty of joyful, playful, and creative touches of his own to its legacy. So now I have another favorite creative director, who is Lorenzo Serafini. So let's see what we have next. Next we have Jil Sander. So Jil Sander 2026 collection marks another debut by Simone Bellotti. The more playful and commercial Jil Sander of recent years seems to be gone, at least for this first collection. But there is still excitement and a bright side of creativity. So let's take a closer look. The show opened with a clean tricolor look in navy, white, and black. In this collection, playing with color blocks was a key element. Pairing several clean items like sweaters, shirts, bags, etc. in different colors, creating compositions where all the elements together act like a modern piece of art. This approach feels very relevant to what we are seeing in these images. Sometimes the materials or the colors participating in the puzzle were a bit more daring, not as safe as the majority of the other elements, like this silver skirt, which is the flashiest one of them all. Another key element was the sharp tailoring paired with unexpected cutouts, and we saw this executed in many ways. First, there is this beautiful, structured blue midi dress with an exaggerated armpit cutout extending under the bust and a V-neck opening resting above the shoulders. Altogether, the entire look is playing against traditional composition, creating an interesting modern twist. Some of the other attempts were less interesting, like this circular cutout surrounding the bustier. Is it trying to merge the brand's minimalist roots with contemporary design elements, offering a fresh perspective? I don't think so in this look specifically, but maybe in the other looks, like these ones with the diagonal slashes across the middle of the pencil skirts, which clash with the otherwise clean pieces they are styled with. Another good example is this dress, which is a union of three sections attached at particular points, leaving the rest open to reveal the body underneath. We see a couple of well-constructed pants and skirts also featuring cuts just under the belt above the hips, creating slight slashes. These pieces can be commercially successful, yet they also have the potential to be played with and experimented on in different ways of styling. And then we have my favorite pieces of the collection, entirely covered with a fabric made from hundreds of flat, unfinished organza bands, applied in tight horizontal rows, stitched only along their top edge. The strips fall outward and overlap, producing a dense layered texture that resembles the stacked pages of a book. In the two-piece version, the top is a gray halter crop, cut clean and minimal with a high neckline and bare back. It provides a sharp contrast to the skirt's dense textured surface. Some pieces looked very structured and sculptural, like this hourglass leather coat that comes in two different colors. I like both the off-white one and the blue one. Other pieces were softer, more ethereal, and organically shaped around the body, like this blue translucent midi dress. This contrast throughout the show somehow kept the energy of the runway moving forward. And finally, these structured dresses stole the show as the most iconic pieces of the collection, featuring futuristic experimental shapes, most likely made from innovative new fabrics. This off-white version is definitely a great look, and I'm glad to see pieces like this alongside the extremely blank and clean designs. As a first collection, I think it's promising. There is a lot here that could be built on and evolved in future collections. So let's see where Jil Sander goes from here. And let's see what we have next. Next, let's talk about Fendi. Guys, what's happening with Fendi? The last show, the fall 2025, was one of the best during Milan Fashion Week. However, this one felt very questionable. The thing is, a huge team of creative people work in big houses like this. So when the final result is not as impressive as expected, it points to the need for sharper vision to bring all the ideas together. Anyway, let's look at what stood out. I want to start with the cable knit sets. I loved the use of colors, and I love that these are truly wearable pieces that can complement all ages, all body shapes, and all genders. I also loved how they incorporated this texture into the bags. Here we see the Mama baguette both in medium and small sizes. So this bag was first introduced in the late 1990s as a larger, more spacious version of the original baguette, designed by Silvia Venturini Fendi herself. As we know, she is now the creative director overseeing menswear, womenswear, accessories, and couture. Last season, she re-released this bag in an updated version, following the current trend of brands reviving archive pieces. The aim is to strengthen the brand's identity, bridge the past with the present and future, and reintroduce these iconic designs to the new generations. Another bag relaunched this year during Fendi's Centennial Celebration Fall 2025 show is the Fendi Spy, again designed by Silvia. It was first launched in 2005 for the spring-summer season, and in this show we have seen them experimenting with the bag. I think this one is the micro size. Up until now, the mini has been the smallest version, if I'm not mistaken, but this is even smaller than that. As you can see here, this is the size of the mini. I like that they are taking each bag in new directions. This one is a woven leather version that really stands out. The color is beautiful, and the mix of weaving techniques across different parts of the bag adds both strength and structure. And of course, we know Fendi is famous for fur. One standout was this statement coat with colorful stripes of woven fur. Inspired by that, they also introduced a bag made of woven nylon webbing in different colors. The palette felt refreshing, full of vibrant summer vibes, which is important for summer. Another fur coat featured an oversized floral patterns. The petals look like fried flowers, with the seeds section embroidered using large yellow faceted acrylic beads. Do I believe it's an impactful design? Not really, but the way it was styled with the earrings and the bag made it cool and interesting. Let's talk about the bag. So the bag might be a new seasonal design. Here we see the canvas version decorated with toy-like appliques, echoing the motif of the coat. This bag also appeared in leather, available in different sizes. I think this could be a successful item as it has playful retro aesthetics. It looks practical with the drawstring closure and leather tie, yet still full of character with the handle made of oversized rounded beads, including a gold bead engraved with the FF icon, the famous Fendi logo. There was also some tailoring presented in modern context with pleasing color and fabric choices. The tracksuits, though, were where the main fun was focused as they added many details to them, including dominant fur panels on entire nylon or translucent chiffon bases. At least they brought some perspective and excitement to the clothing section. Chiffon sportwear inspired shorts and jackets were also targeting men. I think they look sexy but still laid back. Men's shoes had a fun moment too, with loafers made entirely of interesting textures. As you can see, the leather goods, bags, shoes, and accessories were playful with a good amount of experimentation in beadwork, colors, and artistic touches. On the other hand, the clothing lacked vision, taste, and creativity. I think this pink midi dress with cuff-like details around the upper arms and this navy coat with ruffled details are the only pieces that are elegant. However, they did give us a new version of the Fendi Best Friends Forever charms, which is great for keeping up with the trend, now with the Labubus and everything. Overall, I assume they are looking for a creative director to oversee women's wear, because there is clearly an urge for that. Still, the concept of mixing sportswear with couture level techniques and inserting different ideas together was cool as a concept. But was it executed to the level we expect from a brand like Fendi? I don't know. You let me know. I appreciate the effort here, and let's see what we have next. Next, we have Etro by Marco De Vincenzo. The collection opened with a squad of suede jackets, vests, and coats with fringes falling along the arms and across the chest, all fully studded with metallic, flat, domed, or star-shaped studs, forming Etro's traditional motifs. The first two looks were styled with floor-length bohemian-style dresses, loaded with diagonal rows of ruffles, while the following two were paired with cupped corset tops, button-downs, and heavily embroidered pants. Then came a series of dresses with more dramatic ruffle placements, cascading all over, featuring lightweight, flowing, floor-length bohemian pieces that felt soft, comfortable, and dynamic, a fusion of bohemian luxury. I especially loved the looks with intricate weaving that formed floral patterns, showing a strong handcrafted feel and a mix of cultural influences. Each piece was covered in motifs carefully placed to flatter the feminine figure. Lace also played a role in the collection, often mixed with Etro's traditional prints to create fluid, saturated yet balanced silhouettes. In these two looks, though, lace took over the entire dress, revealing the body underneath, along with the metallic accessories that are encrusted with crystals and positioned like bustiers and panties, adding a daring combination of textures that is beautifully executed. In other looks, the metallic jewelry bustiers that we were talking about appeared styled over the tops, neither compromising nor overshadowing the presence of other materials, fabrics, or prints. A vibe of a free-spirit individuals traveling the world, collecting pieces from different cultures and adding them into their wardrobe as a celebration of wanderlust and eclectic style. Now, if you were thinking the beginning of the show was already saturated with outerwear pieces, then you are definitely underestimating Etro's runway this season. Look at these leather marquetry bomber jackets. These jackets are impeccable, where pieces of leather in strikingly different colors are combined to create the paisley prints. But if you prefer your jacket to be more on the safer side, then you can pick these options inspired by safari style, yet still designed with a great approach to proportions and styling. There are also these two options decorated with lapels that showcase your appreciation of artisan craftsmanship and the celebration of the counterculture movement while considering practicality and expressing a sense of worldly exploration. The show closed with dramatic looks embodying boho futurism, mixing artistic approach with youthful, free-spirited energy. As you can see, dresses with endless glass beaded fringes cascading all over, ending the show on a very high note. Overall, this was a highly saturated collection with far more to discover on every single model. It is satisfying to see a creative director who can preserve the familiar perspectives of an iconic brand while reimagining its signature for contemporary spirits and vivid personalities. That's it for today. I'll be reviewing more brands from Milan Fashion Week. There's going to be part 2, maybe even part 3. So see you then. Bye.